And it's time for another What Does This Button Do show with us, Geeks on Tour.
Episode 77.
Cool. It's an educational show about smartphones and tablets with Geeks on Tour. That's us, old dogs learning new tricks. Hi, I'm Jim, and here with my wife, Chris, we are Geeks on Tour. Do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? And do you have questions about your Android phone or your iPad tablet? And how do you learn about these amazing devices?
Well, how we think it's best to learn is in small pieces on a regular basis. Got to keep learning, lifelong learning. So that's why we came up with this weekly show. Our website collects all of our prepared material, geeksontour.com, and we'll show you a little bit of that today too.
Okay. So Chris, where are we now?
We're still at home in Fort Lauderdale, but we leave tomorrow. We'll be headed to a rally in Tallahassee. It is spring here in Fort Lauderdale, and these yellow flower trees are called tabebuya. And they are all everywhere, and they are gorgeous.
I can't say that, so I just call them tabbies.
Or golden somethings also.
Or golden somethings. All right. Well, on today's show, we have a tip of the day, printing on Android to Google Cloud Printer. And we talked about printing from your mobile devices last week, and we're going to continue that whole feel. And our beginner's lesson today is on Google Photos. What's new? This stuff never changes.
Always something new.
The app of the day is My Data Manager, and we get these things from our listeners and viewers, and they come up with some great apps for us. If you have questions, ask them here in the comments, and the show is recorded on YouTube on our Geeks on Tour channel. You can always find the links at geeksontour.com weekly show.
Volume up a little bit.
Okay. We do invite you to become a member
at geeksontour.com. It's just $68 for a year.
Show notes, Chris, from last episode.
We just always like to highlight the fact that after the show we do write up notes. So I want to show you that. From last week, our show was about printing. And if you go to geeksontour.com and the menu item for weekly show, you can scroll down until you see the episode for April 3 on printing. And you can see the notes. And I really think this one is a particularly good one for computer clubs. We have a lot of computer clubs that watched, and people told us that episode on printing, on how to set up printing, was really good. And we even make those class notes into PDF files for our thumb drive. If you want to buy all of our stuff on a thumb drive, you get those PDF notes too. So check that out.
geeksontour.com weekly show. And a quick tip, what do you think?
The reason we're doing printing, since after we did the whole show last week, is that at the end of the show we realized, well, we showed you how to set up cloud printing, but we didn't actually print. So I just want to do that. I'm going to use my Android phone, the Samsung.
Okay.
And for an example, let's say you wanted to print out a web page. So we have an article on our website about our app of the day today, the tracking your data usage. So this is geeksontour.com, and it's the articles. Yeah, all articles, and the article on tracking your data usage. And let's say you wanted to print that out. The cloud printer is set up on this phone, and you tap the 3 dots and print. So if printing is not set up, that print option simply won't be there. So if it's there, you should be able to print, but you do have to tell it what printer. So this printer, it says this is a cloud printer, but this is the one that's upstairs. I want to try to print to the one that's right beside us here, which is the Epson. So I tell it which printer, and notice you can tell it what size paper and what orientation. If that's all right, you just tap the print button. And in a minute, hopefully, it will come. Now, that's one thing why we also didn't go through it all last week. It can take a while.
I hear the printer just kicking in right now.
So that wasn't too bad. But sometimes when you send it via email, we showed you that last week about doing email printing. That has to go to an email address, and then the printer has to be smart enough to go get it. It can take a while.
It's usually pretty fast, but yeah, just like regular email, sometimes it's very quick and sometimes it takes a few minutes.
Exactly.
And sometimes it takes days.
So, but that was right from the phone. I told it to print, and we had a reason to do this morning. We ordered tickets to go see a show tonight.
Oh boy, after the show, we're going to a show.
After our show, we're going to somebody else. We're going to Paula Poundstone's. I'm so excited.
She's a great comedian.
And this was interesting. It says you could not show the ticket office your ticket on your phone. You must print on paper. So I did exactly what we just showed you here. I got the ticket up on the screen on my phone and then chose the 3-dot menu and print. And there we go. So that's if you have cloud printer set up for Android devices. And if you don't know how to do that, that was last week's show. Check it out.
And you can do that right where?
Geeks, they just learned that, right? geeksontour.com, weekly show.
Okay. And all of those shows are on YouTube. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/2geeksontour, you'll get notifications of all of these shows. That might be a handy thing to have. Beginner's lesson. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. Google Photos. What's new?
Well, the reason I chose to do that this time is in the last 6 weeks, there have been no less than 5 updates to Google Photos. So first, I want to show you where you would look if you want to know what new updates, because we're not going to be doing this on the show every week, and there will be new updates every week. So it's on the Google Plus website is where I found the best place to get updates. And that is plus.google.com and then a slash and then the plus symbol, Google Photos. This, as far as I can tell anyway, is the official place where updates are listed. But they don't seem to be keeping up this updates and announcements. You have to just scroll down. So this one was just Friday.
You were getting ready for this show.
And another one came out.
Just boom.
So, and we're going to go through each of these 5 or 6 announcements for the last 6 weeks. But first, I also want to show you where you can request a change. So if you are using Google Photos and there's something that you really want or that you don't like, then you can go to Google Photos and click on the the 3- menu up in the upper left-hand corner and send feedback. So that really is important. Believe it or not, they do look at these. Now, do they pay attention? Depends on how many people asked the same thing is whether or not they will pay attention. So it behooves all of us who have requests. For example, please give us true captions on slideshows. That is my #1 request. And I have requested it before, but I will continue. Now they let you take a screenshot. Well, but it's just not applicable. So I just click next and then submit. So I have given feedback saying that I want captions on slideshows. All right. Now let's go back to there we go. So each of these things, 6 weeks ago, the update was this one, faster editing and cropping on the web. So you take a lot of photos, editing them can be time consuming. To speed things up, you can now navigate while staying in edit mode, and your edits will automatically save. You can revert. So realize this is talking about the web version. So let me show you that. On the web version of Google Photos, this right here, let's say I want to edit this picture of the beautiful tabebuia tree. I go into edit mode. I just do an auto. Now I don't have to click done. I can just go to the next picture and click auto or add a vignette and go to the next picture. You do not have to save. It is saving automatically for you. And now I can go back to the previous and I can undo those edits. Whoa. I don't know what that was. It flopped on me. It flip-flopped. And so I'm clicking on this rotate. There, that's how it was supposed to be. I have no clue what just happened there. And here's the other thing that update was talking about is aspect ratio. If I click right here, then I can say, I want to crop this, but I want to make sure it crops to a 16:9 ratio. So now when I try to do a crop, it won't let me make a square, for example. It's going to keep it in that 16:9 ratio. Now you do have to tap done if you want to get out of here, but you don't have to tap done or save just to save and edit. You can go on to the next one. I think that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
But that is just the web version. That does not work like that on the Android or the iPhone.
All right.
Okay. The next one, this was 5 weeks ago. And notice this one is for Apple, Android, and web. And it changed the menu options. People were confused by this menu that said collections, and they didn't realize that albums, stories, and movies were underneath collections. So Google said, okay, we'll explain it. We'll get rid of collections.
That'll help. That does it every time.
And they'll just make it albums. Movies are now somewhere else, and stories are gone. And I'll be showing you this when we get into my full demo. There's a tile bar at the top now. So there's little squares that will take you to other things like the people, places, and things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that used to be so hidden. You used to have to know to search before you saw the people, places, and things options. So I like that one. And next,
there's usually a good reason for updates and changes, but not always.
Not always. Yeah, they're just continually playing with this program. Some of it's good and some of it not so much. This next one is excellent. This is my favorite. And I will show you all of this when I'm through going through the cards. This one brings the Android version into parity with the Windows and the iPhone. On Windows and iPhone, you've always been able to make a change, save, and it saves to the original. But on the Android version, when you edit and saved, it made a copy. Okay, and except if you're using an SD card, and I will show that and explain it. But now, all versions of Google Photos, Android, iPhone, and web, can edit and undo, and everything can be seen on all the others. It's awesome. It is true cloud computing, as cloud computing should be.
Cool.
All right, So I had to give that good one before we get to this last one, which I don't like very much, but I will show it to you. There's some stories are gone. The albums now give you the ability to add text blocks and maps, kind of like stories did. But as I've already mentioned, I would much prefer that they gave us true slideshows with captions rather than these albums with text blocks. And last is the ability to upload directly from your computer to an album and some keyboard shortcuts. So that's where I'm going to start to and show you. In my demo, I'm going to upload from the computer directly to an album. I'm going to show you my favorite feature, which is how edit and undo now works the same on all 3 versions. And then I will show you a little bit about the new albums that combine story features in it.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So I'm going to, I need my notes here. Okay, I want to go to the Android.
All right.
No, I'm sorry. Changed my mind. I do want to do the computer first because I'm going to upload from a folder on the computer. So right here, I have these 2 pictures on my computer that are not on Google Photos at all. These are just on my computer, and I want them in Google Photos, but I don't want them just anywhere in Google Photos. I want them in my kayak diving album, which is the album we'll be demonstrating later. What you can do is drag and drop, and this has been around for a while. So first I'm going to get this screen over to the right of my computer, and then I am going to go to my Google Photos and done and back up. And I'm going to drag that over to the left of the screen. So this is a Windows 10 thing, and I always have a little bit of trouble with it. There and there. So now on the right side of my screen, I see the 2 pictures that are on my computer. On the left side of my screen, I see Google Photos web version. And you've always been able to do this, drag and drop just 2 Google Photos. But I want to drop it into a particular album. So I go to my albums, and here it is, this kayak diving album. I can now select the pictures from my computer, drag over and drop off, and those pictures are being uploaded. They are now part of my Google Photos library, and they are in this kayak diving album. So that's pretty cool. And we will come back to this album later. But for now, I want to go to the Android, go to my phone.
Okay. Now you're ready for it.
Yeah, now I'm ready for the phone.
There we go.
And I'm going to go into Google Photos. And now, why aren't those pictures that I just uploaded showing up at the top?
Probably because of the date.
That's exactly right. Those pictures were actually from 2006. So they're not going to be showing in April, but they will be showing in the album. Let's just go look. Yeah, so there are the pictures that I just uploaded, and thank goodness I uploaded them directly to an album. Otherwise, it would be kind of tough to find them. Okay, but right now I want to go to Photos, and here's the menu change. The buttons that take you to different parts of Google Photos are now down at the bottom. I still tap on that menu and expect to see photos, albums, and assistant over here, and it's not. It's down here. Okay, so there's photos. And this part of the demo is about the editing features and how you no longer get a copy on Android. I'm going to use this picture right here.
Oh, me and my girlfriend.
Huh? Yeah, right. Our old friend Rini. And I think this picture could use some improvement. So I'm going to go into edit and crop. And I just want to see Rini's face. There we go. And I say,
wait a minute.
Well, as I will show, Jim has not been cut out permanently. I can always get him back. Now, the beauty here, when I tap on save, and if I go back out and look at, notice there's only one. There is not two. That is the update. Before this update, every time I edited on the Android, I got another copy. That drove me nuts. Now, if you really want a copy, you can. If you're in edit mode, you can tap the menu. Of course, I guess I have to be on the original first. I'll show you that in a minute. What I want to show you next, though, is that change that I made to that picture is viewable on the computer.
All right. So now we got to look at the computer.
So now we go to the computer, and there you see it right there. And notice that's even in an album. So wherever this picture is viewable, it is now the edited version. Let me just go to photos, though, to show that.
Why don't you make that bigger?
Oh, thank you. Right. Put it back to full screen. And where was that? There she is. There she is.
Hang on. Squirmy little critter, isn't she?
Hi, Rini. She is an excellent underwater photographer, too,
Yeah,
by the way.
You should see some of her short pictures.
My goodness.
Great stuff.
So I made that edit on the Android, but I'm seeing it on the computer. Now, how about on Apple? I have my iPad here.
Okay.
And if I go into Google Photos, and there's a notice the box that was white. So it was still kind of in process of updating, but there she is. And I can undo that, though. So I say, oh, you know, I think that really is sweet that she and Jim were next to each other. I think I should bring Jim back. I can tap on the three dots and go back to original and then save that. This photo is shared. Your changes will be visible to anyone you've shared with. Yes, that's the idea. What you see is what you get, no matter which device you're using. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the Android. And first of all, show you that Jim is back. Now, sometimes it takes a minute. Realize that what we're doing here, going boom, 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 back and forth to different devices, is pretty unusual. So sometimes I've even had to, close out of Google Photos. I'm just kind of bouncing around here trying to, there is no refresh menu item. Yep, taking a bit. What if I go into edit there? Okay, I go into edit and then don't edit. All right, of course not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close Google Photos by going to my multitasking and swiping it off. That kind of is a refresh forcing its hand, forcing it to relook at things. And I'm still just getting the one of them. Well, we'll wait a minute. I promise you.
We'll come back to this.
I promise you it will come back. Yeah. Okay.
But she promises me all kinds of stuff all the time. How's that working out for me?
My next point is a specific Android thing. Though, here is a picture of the beautiful salad that Jim made us for lunch today. And he, of course, made one for both of us. But for the photo, I say, you know, I think I want to crop that down to just one. So I'll go into Edit, and I will crop, and I'll crop to that one. I think that one works the best. And save it. And remember, what I just taught you is that the update to Android made it so that it did not make a copy when you edit. So what's wrong with this picture? It made a copy. So I say, well, I don't understand. I don't know what's going on, but I want to get rid of that original. I want the picture of just the one. I try to go to the trash. And it says,
can't delete item.
Cannot delete because it's on an SD card. Photos does not have permissions to work with the SD card. And that is the same reason why it had to make a copy. It could not overwrite the original, so it had to make another one.
So you're not going to have this problem on phones or tablets that don't have an SD card.
Correct.
And none of those iPhones or iPads do.
Correct. I don't want to have that problem on my Android either. So I recommend going into your camera and telling it, don't use the SD card. You know, now that we have Google Photos, we can keep the phone cleared off.
Right.
So I don't need that extra space. So I go into the camera, I tap on the gear for options, I find the storage location, and instead of memory card, I'm going to tell it store right on the phone. Now, if I take a picture, it will work the way it's designed to do. All right. And last thing, so I go back into Photos, and it's still just the one. Now, what if on these yellow trees, I say, well, you know, I want to compare and contrast and have some that are black and white versus the yellow. And I do want to have a copy then, so I can have the black and white one and the copy. Now I can go into edit mode. First, you have to be in edit mode. Then on the menu, there should be, and maybe it's because I already edit and menu, undo edits. Okay. Now I'm in edit and I can save a copy. That's what I wanted you to see. You can save a copy. Now I can edit one of those copies, make it black and white, and save. But I will now have both a black and white one and a yellow one. I have not overwritten. Okay, I think, no, the last thing is how do you get to people, places, and things? Well, if you go to albums with the button down at the bottom, you now have a bunch of these tiles up here. And that's where people like mom, places, and things are now. And I like that. I like that because before you used to have to know to search. And that just was not intuitive. There's the two of them are back again now. Okay, I'm so
I feel
glad.
so much better.
Okay, so the last thing is those albums. And first to know is how to make an album to start with. So I'm going to go back. See, I did it again. I can't go back to photos by using the menu. I have to use this button down at the bottom. Let's say that I want to make an album about these yellow trees, these tababuya trees. Step 1, select them. Select a bunch of them. Now tap the plus, and I can create a new album. Create new album. And tabbies. All right.
I like it with a Z.
Yeah, kind of. Now, the new thing about albums, so that you've been able to do since the beginning of Google Photos. The new thing is that you can add text blocks. So you can type a whole bunch of text. Tababuya trees. And it is now part of your album. You can also add maps. Oops, I didn't mean that. You can add locations or maps. And a map means a beginning and an end. So let's say from Miami. And that gives you a map of the first point and to the second point. Let's go back to the computer.
Okay.
But that's to show you can do that on the phone or on the iPad or on the computer. And the sample, as I said, this is one thing that I really don't care for all that much. Because if I want to really tell a story, I want to be able to put in links, I want to be able to put in lots of text, and I want it to stay the same. So I personally don't see all that much use, but I tried to think of a good use, and I came up with kayak diving. This is something that Jim and I really like to do. And I have pictures, and it's a good thing for showing maps. And
we have some videos.
And videos, right, right. So here is the album I put together for kayak diving. And notice that you don't have a limit for the amount of text. So you can write paragraphs and paragraphs of text. And you can position them anywhere you want. You can drag things around. So if I want these two pictures to be at the bottom of this, first I have to edit the album. Now I can drag that picture down to the end of the album.
Or anywhere in the middle.
Or anywhere, right. And that's better. I can also drag text to a different position. And I can make a map. So let's say that these two pictures of us actually underwater were in Cozumel. I can add this little place marker in the upper right-hand corner is how you add either a location or a map. And I will say from Cozumel. I don't care which direction it's going. All right, so now I have a map. And then if I want to talk about it, I can add some text and say, we also like to travel to diving destinations. And I could keep typing, but that's enough. And I want to move that And this can be tricky. One thing I learned the hard way, do not mistakenly click that little X.
It'll close it. It'll be gone.
I wrote like 3 paragraphs and I accidentally clicked that little X and it was gone.
Oh boy.
Okay.
I heard about that.
You did. You could have heard me down the block.
Neighbors heard.
So I click the checkbox and say done. Now, this is kind of cool. It is kind of cool. And you can share this with anybody. It's an album. You just click share. You get a link. You can send it to anybody. You could put it on Facebook. But what if I want to see that picture big? I click on it, full size. And I say, oh, okay, now great. Show me the next picture in this album, and the next picture, and the next picture. Where's that text block?
It's not there.
Where's that map?
It's not there either.
No. The only way you see the text block in the map is if you're looking, if I go back and you're looking out at this main. So I think there are better tools, but you can have fun with this.
It is fun, and I've made a couple now, and yeah.
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 And this is something that the assistant will make automatically for you too.
Very cool.
And then you can go in and edit it and make changes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've taken my time, haven't I?
I guess you have. Questions. Let's see. Yes. Steve asks if you can upload a folder from the computer and make it an album.
Yes, but you have to pay attention. If you upload an entire folder, when it's done uploading, you will see a message on the screen that says, do you want to add this to an album? So yes, you can, but you have to pay attention. You have to be watching for the box that asks you to do that.
Okay, I don't see a bunch of questions here, but Robin says hi. Seeing a lot of the folks from Sun City and
Hilton Head Computer Clubs. Great.
Yeah, you should open up the classroom and just have a class when you're doing that.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
Yeah.
Computer clubs can do that. All right. If you have any other questions, you can put them in there and we can get to them this week. We'll be having some fun. Geeks on Tour technology training. Teaching old dogs new tricks and old dogs learning new tricks. That's us. We invite you to like us on Facebook. That's our Geeks on Tour Facebook page. Are you ready for the app of the week? The app of the week this week is going to be My Data Manager by Mobidia Technology. And this is available on Apple and Android. And it is a way that we can keep track of how much data we're using on our cellular and even our Wi-Fi. It'll track that too. We don't really care about our Wi-Fi, but.
And can we show that was done on we wrote an article about this in our last newsletter.
Okay.
So I'd kind of like to just show the newsletter. So how would you see one of our newsletters? If you go to geeksontour.com, under blogs and articles, there's newsletters.
All of our newsletters.
And all of our newsletters are here with just a brief statement on what the main tips were in the newsletter. And so here was April's and track data usage, as well as lots of other stuff, but the track data usage is in there, and it is about the My Data Manager. And then you get to that full article, which is what we printed in the beginning of the show. So now you know how to print this out if you don't want to read it on your phone or on your computer.
Okay. But My Data Tracker. Okay. Oh, there we go. For Android and iPhone, it'll track your usage. You have to enter your plan at the very beginning and it'll set alarms for you. It's really kind of neat the way it does it. Do you have it loaded up on that one?
Yeah.
And tracking multiple users. So if you have a shared plan, you have other family members on the plan with you. Now you can see who's using all the data. And grandma shouldn't be using so much. I wonder what she's doing over there. Okay, let's see if we can go over there.
Yeah.
You ready?
Something else just popped up, of course.
Oh, nothing.
All right.
That way.
Yes, it's on.
All right.
So it's telling me that I've used 4.45 gigs this month. And I just haven't even put in a data plan because ours is unlimited. So I don't have to worry about it. Oh, go away. What I like using it for is to find out which apps are using the data. So yeah, this is my data manager, and there's all sorts of things. You can see where you were when you were using data. So maybe you got into roaming somewhere. Yeah, so where you were when you were using data, or history, which is a chart, and this is for April, that's for March. But I like to see what I used in a particular day. So I can go to day, and then, for example, what I really did use this for, last Thursday morning, I took a whole bunch of pictures, and I wanted to see how much data Google Photos used to upload those pictures. So instead of history, if I go to apps, it's telling me that that's on a week. I want a day. And last Thursday, there was 111 megabytes. Gee, this one conversation starts getting prolific. I should have turned that notification off. So 111 megabytes for, it was about 50 photos or so. That's quite a lot. So that was just interesting to know. It might be very important for you if you have a limited data plan. So you can find out the details. Now, there are other ones, right?
Oh, yeah. And, they're free. As usual, I look to make sure that it's free, and then I see how many reviews there are, how many stars they have. So if there are a lot of positive reviews, then I know it's probably going to be a pretty good application. Now, this is also a referral from a viewer, so we checked it out and we agree. So that's another thing that I do. Is if somebody refers an app, then I usually say it's going to be okay. That's just my way of doing things. Yeah. All right. Where are we? Did you learn something? Review questions. It's time.
It's time for your test.
Time for your test.
Everybody sharpen your pencils.
Let's go. What are the 3 different versions of Google Photos?
Android, Apple, and web. So really, and they are, for the most part, very, very similar. I love that. But there could be some differences. Mm-hmm. So you need to know which one you're on if you're going to ask questions about it.
True or false? Android version now saves edits without making a copy unless you're using what?
An SD card to store your photos.
That'll trick you. That'll get you. True or false? You can make a copy before editing a picture if you want to have both the original and the edited copy at the same time.
True. Okay. You can.
Any edits that you make can be undone. If you open an edited picture and don't see the option to undo edits, what do you need to do?
That usually happens to me when I just view a picture and I expect undo edits to be available on the menu. No, you have to click edit first. You have to be in edit mode, and then undo edits is an option.
Albums now include features that used to be called stories. Using the plus icon, you can add what and what?
Maps and text blocks.
Okay.
Still no text right on the picture with a slideshow.
Oh, well.
We'll keep asking for that. I want everybody. There you go. I want everybody.
No. Google
Okay.
Photos is always changing. Vote for the changes you want by. Here it is.
By going into send feedback on any version of Google Photos, the 3- menu in the upper left, send feedback, and you can ask for what you want. I want everybody to go in and ask for captions and slideshows.
And text on photos.
Text on photos would be nice, but captions on slideshows.
We have a list for you to put out there. That'd be really good.
Actually, I do have a list. I should do that.
So what's the webpage? It lists all of our weekly shows.
geeksontour.com, and the menu item is weekly show.
And the webpage that lists all of our recent newsletters.
geeksontour.com, the menu is blogs and articles. Newsletters is under there.
And the benefits you get by joining Geeks on Tour.
Access to all the tutorial videos, asking questions in our Ask the Geeks Q&A forum, and the show notes. And realize you can even print them out.
You got the show notes right there.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, we do invite you to become a member at geeksontour.com. Just go in there, send us some money, and we'll give you a lot of good content. Next time, we will we won't have a show next week. We will be presenting live in Tallahassee to an RV group. So we just won't be able to do this show. It might be fun to do something else, but nah. Our next topic on April 24th, we have a special guest, Abby Stokes, and social media. And watch for the notification for our next show. Click there let us know that you're coming, and leave questions there in the comments.
We're very excited to have Abby join us. We seem to do a lot of the same speaking circuits. We've met up with her in different parts of the country. And so we said, well, you should be on our show. So Abby is great at talking to beginners about all sorts of technology, and social media is fun.
Okay.
That'll be our topic.
Geeks on Tour. And what does this button do?
Just keep pressing those buttons.
Don't
I can press your buttons.
You sure can. See you next time. I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
And we're Geeks on Tour.